I'm gagging. Literally, it's 12 midnight. I have a beauty dish above me, a Canon camera in front of me, and I'm sitting here making content for YouTube. I have one word for myself. Yeah. All jokes aside, thank you guys so much for joining me for my first video on my brand new YouTube channel, Quan Studios. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Tracy and I'm a model agent and scout based in New York. For those of you who do know me, you probably know me from Instagram and TikTok. On TikTok, I make a lot of videos critiquing Polaroids and runway walks, trying to help aspiring models, really elevate the kind of materials that they're sending out to agencies. And on Instagram, I spend a lot of time on our Instagram Live on One Management's account, answering questions and trying to help out those same aspiring talents find management and just, navigate this crazy world that's fashion. Either which way, I'm always trying to help out the models and get some good information out there. Now, I'm on YouTube and I thought it would be interesting to do some more long form content. One, to introduce myself to you guys, because I know a lot of times people see my videos on TikTok and they're like, who do you think you are? Why are you telling us what to do and telling us what not to do? So I thought it would be good for my first video just to be, telling you about who I am and how I got into the industry. And also too, sometimes I don't think 20 or 30 seconds is enough to really convey a message. So I also want to make some videos that just give you guys some advice and just some pointers from someone who actually is working in the industry. I see a lot of videos on here that are coming from models or like photographers, but I don't really see any videos on here from agents or scouts or casting directors. So I want to be able to kind of offer that perspective. So yeah, if you're interested in learning more about the industry or just interested in learning more about me, hit the subscribe button down below and let's get down to the business. To sum up all of my experience, I started at Women Management on the Women Direct division when it was still called Women Direct. It's Women 360 now. As an intern, then I became an assistant, then I was a junior booker and I was there for around 2 years. Then I became a New Faces agent at Elite and I was there for 8 years. So that's 10 years. Then after Elite, I moved to China, I lived in New York, but was traveling between China and New York a lot. And I was working as a consultant and a casting director there. And I was there for maybe around 1.5 years. And then I came back right before the pandemic and started at One Management, where I've been the director of New Faces and Development for 3 years. So I got started around 14 years ago when I was 19 years old. And at the time I was going to school and I was working at Topshop in Soho, which was fun. The people were fun, but I hated the job. It was so annoying. And I was just looking for something different to do. I didn't care what it was. I just was sick of going to work every day and then going to school. I needed to switch it up. So I went on freefashioninternships.net, which was like this little janky website that I don't know if it still exists, but they used to post like little internships and stuff. And I was like, let me just see what they got on here. Maybe it'll be something interesting. And I stumbled upon an ad for Women Management posted by Jenny Shimizu. So at the time, I wasn't really familiar with the fashion industry, much less models and the modeling industry. But I did know who Jenny Shimizu was. So I was like, okay, this looks legit. Let me go see what they're talking about, if I can even get an interview. So I sent in my resume, blah, 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 blah. Lo and behold, Jenny texts me back, or messages me back, or emails me back. And she was like, oh, come in, we would love to meet with you. So I get all dressed up. Mind you, as I said, I wasn't so fashionable at this point. So I had on my black, black pants, white button-up black tie, black blazer, dressed like I was going to a school assembly. walking into one of the biggest modeling agencies in the world, sitting in there, and I was like, all right, let's see what they're going to give us. Let's see what it gives. So Jenny comes up, and mind you, I look like the corniest person in the world, and then they start to interview me. So the interview is pretty standard. I mean, it was for an internship, so it wasn't like they were going to ask me the most crazy questions. They were just like, oh, why do you want to have the job, and blah, 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 blah. So it went well. I think they were really impressed by the fact that I was a Chinese major. I didn't mention that, but yeah, I was majoring in Chinese in college at the time. So that kind of caught them off guard. But they called me in, and ultimately I got the internship, so that was really fun. So from then on, I was working at Topshop, going to school, and then interning at Women on the direct division, which was really honestly, it was so much fun. I made so many new friends, learned so many new things, hanging out with the models and just chaperoning them to different castings and taking them to jobs and being able to go backstage at fashion shows. It really just opened my eyes to a whole new world. So it was really fun in that way. Needless to say, I was forget about Topshop. I need to figure out how I could do this and make some money from it. So basically, I came up with this whole lie that I was I really love this job, but they're pressing me because they really want me to become a manager at Topshop, but I really want to stay here. I really blah, blah, blah. And then they were like, we really need an assistant. And then they hired me as the assistant. Topshop wasn't trying to promote me. Literally, I was calling out every other day. I was so over that job. But your boy had to come up with something. So I got the job, and I went into Topshop the next day. And they were like, no, I got an email that I got the job when I was on my way to work at Topshop. So I'm standing there at Topshop, and they have this thing that they do called processing. Basically, you work in the fitting rooms, and then you have to organize all of the clothes that people don't want, and then you have to take it back to wherever it is. That store had 4 stories. So literally you would have to know where everything was, and honestly I didn't know anything, and I barely was there, so I was like, ugh. So I go into work that day, and they were like, Tracy, you're here, it's so great to see you, and you're going to be processing. I looked at her, and I looked at them clothes, and I thought about that email, and I was like, peace. I walked out of there so quick, and I never looked back. And that was 14 years ago. So, yeah, that's how I got started in the industry. And I'll probably give you guys some stories about my escapades throughout the years on some other videos. But yeah, comment and subscribe. Tell me what other stories you would like to hear, maybe some other videos that you'd like to see. Thank you for joining.